Hello, what we are going to present here is not much different to what we teach our learners during our writing classes. This means that many of the things we are going to hear today are things that they have already heard before, but learners seem to ignore them when the time comes to write an email, especially in the exams. You might choose to watch this presentation with your learners and then email it to them so that they can watch and study it on their own. They might watch it as many times as they want and focus on the points they find most challenging. You have already been given a composition booklet, and it is advisable that you use the DVD of the presentation with the booklet. From this booklet, your learners can memorize some of the expressions given, for example, opening phrases, greetings, closing phrases, and use them in every email they write. Ask them to choose the ones they feel more comfortable with and encourage them to use them. Also, since they might choose to write 2 emails in the writing exam, it would be good practice to learn more than one, for example, opening phrase, because the examiner would like to see variety in their writing tasks. Good students have no problem coming up with ideas for their writing task. Although they can write easier, they still make small mistakes. By listening carefully to the recording in section 3 of the listening test, all students can not only be helped with what they can write in the email, but will also get ideas on the vocabulary and grammar they must use. So thank you very much, and we hope you find this presentation useful. Sofia Mathiodakis. Today we are going to talk about friendly letters. In the B1 and B2 LRN writing test, you will have to produce 2 writing tasks. The first one, section 1, task 1, is compulsory. That is, you have to do it, and it is a combination of listening and writing, which is always a friendly letter. And in the second one, task 2, you will actually have the choice among writing a friendly letter, a story, or an essay. You might choose to write the friendly letter again. This is why it is important to learn how to write a friendly letter well, and that is what we will focus on today. Our presentation will be divided into 3 parts. In the first part, I will give you some basic information on friendly letters. Then we will move on to part 2, where we will talk about how your letter is marked, and in the third part, we will become familiar with the listening and writing section 1, task 1. Well, who could tell us what a friendly letter is?
A letter to a friend, of course.
Only to a friend?
No, to a relative too.
Such as?
Our parents, uncles, cousins, maybe our brother or sister.
So to anyone we really know, right? Now, when you're writing a friendly letter, imagine that you're talking to your friend on the phone. So don't forget to write in a relaxed and friendly way. And why might we write a friendly letter?
We might have to write a letter to tell our news, or to give advice to our friend, or to ask our friend for some information.
There are also other reasons why we might write a letter. We can see them here and in the composition booklet you have. Some letters might be a combination of the above types. This means that you might be asked to write a friendly letter where you must both give news and invite a friend. Now, my next question is, do we actually write letters today? I mean, do we literally sit down and take a pen and paper and write a letter and then mail it?
No, we send emails.
Why?
Because they are faster and easier.
Aha, that is true, but be careful. Emails are letters too. They are actually the letters of today, and they need to be well written and follow all the rules of a letter, especially if they are written for exams. Let's become familiar with some basic information about friendly letters. First of all, the appearance. Please have a look at these two emails and tell me which one you like the best. What do you think?
I like the first one.
Why?
Because I can read and understand it. I like the handwriting and it is clearer.
So, what is the problem with the second letter?
The handwriting is very bad and it looks very confusing.
Exactly. Remember that the person reading your letter has to be able to read what you're writing. So your handwriting needs to be very clear. The letter needs to be readable. Now, how about the paragraphs?
The second one has no paragraphs, but the first one has.
Which one looks right?
The first one. We cannot have an email without paragraphs.
Exactly. You cannot have an email with only one paragraph, especially when you're in an exam. So the next thing we will focus on is paragraphs. There are two types of paragraphs. In the first model letter, every paragraph starts at the very beginning of the line, called margin, and there is an empty line between each paragraph. On the other hand, in the second model letter, the person writing the letter has left some space at the beginning of every paragraph.
Which one is correct?
Both of them are, but just make sure that you're consistent. If you choose the first style, then stick to that one all along your email. Also, if you choose the second style, make clear it is a paragraph by leaving enough space. It is not difficult to remember paragraphs, is it? See how easy you can get some marks? Up to now, we have spoken about how important the appearance of your letter is and how you cannot have an email without paragraphs, and also what your paragraphs should look like. But equally important to the above is to know what the structure of your letter should be. Look at this letter. Your letter can begin with dear, hi, hello, and the name of the person you're writing to, and then put a comma. Avoid writing dear friend or dear cousin. Use their names, dear Nick, dear Mary. And it ends with one of the signing off phrases. Could anyone give me an example of these phrases?
Lots of love, all my love, best wishes, all the best.
Thank you. Remember, there are more phrases in your composition booklet. Since you may choose to write 2 friendly letters, you should remember more than one signing off phrase, so that you can use a different one for each letter. Variety is important. And don't forget to write your name below the phrase. In between dear and the signing off phrases, there are 4 paragraphs. In paragraph 1, you begin by writing greetings. You have already read the ones in the composition booklet. Can you remember any of them?
How are you and your family? Or I hope you are fine.
Anyone else?
How is everything going?
Good, but again remember that it is better to use different phrases for each friendly letter if you choose to write 2. After we have written our opening phrase as greetings, we need to tell our friend why we are writing. What are some of the expressions we can use to begin writing why?
Well, I'm writing too, or I thought I'd write to tell you.
Let me tell you about, and I just had to write and tell you.
Very good. But what should we remember?
To use different expression in the second letter.
Okay then. Once we are done with our first paragraph, we shall move on to the main body of our letter, paragraphs 2 and 3. In these two paragraphs, you're expected to explain in detail why you're writing this letter. The good thing is that here you will be given points on what you need to include in your email, which helps greatly since you do not need to spend time thinking on what to write and if what you're thinking of writing is right or wrong.
Must we cover all the points or choose only the ones we want to?
This is a very good question. It is advisable that you use the points since they give you ideas to write more things and they make your writing easier. Now, if you do not write one of them or change one, it does not particularly matter. The ideas are to help you write better, so why not use them? And it is safer as well, because if you change too many things, you may not write on the topic and you may be penalized for that and lose a lot of marks. Look at the instructions of this topic. It is from the LRN B2 sample test. Write a letter to a friend of yours inviting him or her to a party. In your letter you must mention the reason you are having the party for, when and where the party will take place, the activities you're planning for the party, what help you would like to have from your family and friends, what to wear, what to bring. So what type of letter is this?
We must invite our friend to a party.
Great! As you can see, there is some information that you're asked to include in your letter. You can write them in any order you wish and add any other ideas that are relevant, that are on the topic.
Do we write them all in one paragraph?
You will analyze these points in 2 paragraphs. Otherwise, you will have a very long paragraph and that won't look good. So analyze these points in paragraph 2 and 3 and make sure they are balanced, which means that your paragraphs must be of more or less the same number of words. We will talk about the appropriate number of words at the end of part 1. Finally, we end our email in paragraph 4, where we write one or more of the closing phrases, which we have in our composition booklet. He would like to tell us some.
Well, that's all for now. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon.
Well, I'd better finish off here. Keep in touch.
Very good, but what should we remember?
To use different closing phrases in the second letter.
Good. Finally, as we have already discussed, how do we end our email?
With one of the signing off phrases.
Could you give us an example, please?
See you soon. Take care.
Bye for now. All the best.
And after those phrases, what do we do?
We write our first name Mary.
And that is all about the structure format of our email. Before we finish this presentation, it is important to talk about the word limit. This means that there is a specific number of words that you have to write, not much more and not much less. For example, in writing task 1 in the LRN B2 test, you're asked to write 90 to 110 words. How many words do you think you can write?
Maybe 60?
70 to 80.
Actually, if you write from 80 words and above, you'll be fine. But don't write more than 20 words above the limit. That would make your email too long. Again, in the second writing task in the LRN B2 test, you're asked to write a letter of 120-170 words. If you produce a paper with only 40 or 50 or even 60 words, you can't pass. And you can't have a good mark if you write fewer than 90 words. Let's see what we have been talking about in practice. Read the instructions carefully and let's have a look at the letter that follows. Here we have a letter that a student has written. I would like us to go through it together and point out all the things we like and look closely if we can find any mistakes. Take a few minutes to look at the email. Look at the email and tell me if you like what it looks like.
Yes, of course.
Why?
Because all the paragraphs start at the very beginning of the line and there is an empty line after each paragraph.
Exactly. But has it got the format of an email?
Yes, because it starts with Dear Kelly and ends with Best wishes, Helen.
Now let's focus on the structure. Please read the first paragraph. Is it appropriate?
Yes, because we have greetings and the reason we are writing.
What greetings do you have?
Hi, how are you? It was great to hear from you.
Very good. What about paragraphs 2 and 3? Do they cover all the points? For example, is the first point covered?
Yes, her name is Sarah.
Good. What about when and where you met her?
It says, I met her last week during break time.
What about what kind of person she is?
She's a lovely person, she isn't very friendly.
Anything else?
It also says that she is very funny.
And what about the last point? Does the student write why she has decided to be friends?
She says that they have the same hobbies.
What hobbies?
They like reading mystery books and they also like pets.
So everything is there, right? Not bad. What about paragraph 4?
I think paragraph 4 is also good because we have the closing phrases. Well, I'd better finish off here, write back soon.
So based on what we said earlier, we all agree that the structure is correct and that this student has done very well. This is the end of part 1. In part 2, we will talk about how you can get better marks and how not to lose marks. In part 2, we are going to talk about information that we need to take into account if we want to get extra points. And equally important, information that we need to take into account if we don't want to lose any points. So, apart from the format and structure, what do you think are other ways we can get extra points?
If our grammar is correct.
Exactly. Depending on what kind of letter you're asked to write, the tenses you will use must be appropriate. Let's have a look at this table. Here are some examples of what tenses or other grammar structures you should use, depending on the letter you write. Many students seem to confuse some of these tenses, so let's look at the basic ones in more detail. If you're writing an email and wish to tell your friend about what you will do in the future, at your party, at the weekend, and in the summer, what tense might you use?
Future simple.
Exactly. Look at this example. We'll do so many things when you come to visit us. If you're writing an email to a friend describing something you did, what tense are you going to use?
Past tense like past simple.
Very good. Look at this example. Last week, I went to a party. What other past tenses could we use?
Maybe past continuous.
Very good. We can use past continuous to set the scene. So have a look here. While we were singing the happy birthday song, my friend's mother was taking pictures. What about when you write about something you usually do?
Present simple.
Yes! For example, with my friends, we usually go to a fast food restaurant on Fridays after school. And if you want to talk about something you're doing at this precise minute,
Then I would use present continuous.
just as in the example, I'm writing to tell you. I would now like you to have a look at the following two sentences. At the party we danced, we ate delicious sweets. Both of these sentences are grammatically correct in the sense that the verbs are in past simple, so you would get points for using the correct tense. But what if you linked these two sentences such as at the party we danced and ate delicious sweets? By using the linking word and, you would have a more complex sentence and thus get a higher mark. Or look at the following two sentences. We will do all the things you like doing this summer. We will go to the beach every day because I know how much you love swimming. Both of these sentences have correct tenses, so you'd get a point for that. The second sentence has a linking word because, so you get an extra point for using that too. What if you wanted to get even more points? Look at this. We will do all the things you like doing this summer. For example, we will go to the beach every day because I know how much you love swimming. By adding the linking phrase, for example, you would get even more points since these phrases allow your email to flow. In the composition booklet given to you, there are a number of connectors and linking phrases that you can use. So do so if you want to improve your mark. If you want to get extra points, you can also use fillers. These would make your writing sound more natural. Remember, you're writing a letter to your friend, so it might be useful if you imagine that you're talking to him or her on the phone. That is what your email should feel like. In the sentence, I am thinking of visiting your village this summer, if we added well in the beginning, well, I'm thinking of visiting your village this summer, then your sentence would sound more natural. And guess what?
We would get extra points.
Exactly. Or if you used to tell you the truth in front of your sentence, such as in, to tell you the truth, I think you should talk to your parents, you would emphasize what you're trying to say, and so you would get your message across. And at the same time, you would gain more points. And extra points are what we want. Should you do all the above, then there is no doubt that you will collect enough marks to pass. Now, what if we were not only interested in getting a good mark, but wanted to get the highest mark possible? Here are some suggestions. Use conditional sentences. For example, if you tell your parents the truth, they will appreciate it. Also, use modal verbs. Your teacher may help you if you tell her that you're being bullied. Use so or such. It was such a great day that I will always remember it. My parents are so angry with me that they won't let me go out for a week. Remember to use structures you feel confident you know how to use correctly. So why not practice each one of these structures very carefully before your exam? The above would definitely help you gain more points in the grammar section, since you will provide proof that you can use correctly a variety of grammatical forms of your level. A good idea would also be to use what we call higher level vocabulary. Do you understand what that means?
Maybe use more difficult words?
You're right, in a way, but not very difficult. Look at these sentences. Instead of writing, I think it is important to book a ticket in advance, why not say, I believe it is vital that you book a ticket in advance? Or why write, the hotel we stayed in was beautiful, when you can write, the hotel we stayed in was wonderful? Also think how much better the sentence looks if instead of writing, I didn't like the movie I saw last night, I didn't enjoy the movie I saw last night. A good idea would be to use some phrases too. So instead of writing, I'm waiting for your email, write, I'm looking forward to your email. So by changing some simple words with a bit more advanced ones, your marker would give you extra points in vocabulary, and this would improve your overall mark. The above are things you can do to make sure that you pass your writing paper and that you get a very high mark. However, apart from the things you must do, you need to be careful of the things you mustn't do. Most of the mistakes students make are simple mistakes. You know them well, but you do not pay attention to them, and you rarely proofread what you have written. So, although they are simple mistakes, and although you know most of them, you might lose many points, and that is definitely something we want to avoid. Let's have a look at them. The S ending at third person singular. The child plays football every weekend with his friends. Nowadays, all the students have very little free time. Mary has a lot of homework to do for tomorrow. I was very happy when I heard that you were coming to visit us. We were all excited to see the hotel we had booked. Also, with the use and formation of the present continuous. So we use present continuous to talk about now, this week. For example, we're enjoying our time here. You seem to forget to use the verb be, and don't forget the ing ending of the verb. I'm writing this letter to invite you to my party. Use present continuous, and writing takes one T. Mistakes in persons. She is my friend. Her house is in the city centre. He is from Italy. His family lives in Rome. We are going on a field trip. Our teacher will come with us. When to use or not to use a and there. We say she is famous, but she is a famous singer. We say he is good, but he is a good football player. We say London, but the Acropolis. How to use and form past simple. We use past simple to talk about yesterday, last year, the party you went to. We went to the beach. I played table tennis with my friends. or how to use and form future simple. We use future simple to talk about tomorrow, next year, the summer. We'll go to the cinema. I'll see you when you come. Don't forget modal verbs plus infinitive. I must go now. You can stay with me. They shouldn't be late. Also prepositions. I go to the gym every day. We listen to rock music. In the morning, I wake up at 7 o'clock. At night, I talk to my friends on the phone. On Monday, I went to the dentist. School starts at 7:30. Be careful of thing with a G, which is an object, and think with a K, which is the verb, to ponder. I bought many things from the shops. I think you will like my school. And don't forget the subject. I need to go because I have to do my homework. We will do many things. Infinitive and gerund. I want to go out tonight. But we say, I enjoy going to the cinema with my friends. Now, I would like us to look at the sample email. We can see the letter Helen wrote to Kelly, the one we had seen earlier, but we have not corrected the mistakes here. In blue, we have highlighted all the points that would help Helen get a higher mark. Try and remember what we said earlier about connectors and fillers and so on, and let's identify these points. Could you please point out the connectors and linking phrases?
And, but, also.
So, too.
What about what's more?
Yes, that too.
How about fillers? Has the student used any?
Yes, to tell you the truth, and well, are fillers.
Are there any high-level words?
Maybe enjoy that is used instead of like.
What about delighted? What is a synonym of this word?
Of happy? Very happy.
Not bad. Any other grammatical structures you can see?
So funny. We said that if we use so and such, we will get extra points.
You have all done very well. So the person writing this letter has done pretty well too, don't you think?
Yes.
Now, let's have a look at this version of the letter. What do you think the words in purple show?
I think mistakes.
Well done. Let's analyze them. What is the first mistake?
Here we must use present continuous. The verb be is missing.
Good. What about meet?
That is also a mistake because we need past simple, so we must write met.
Excellent. And I seed?
I saw is an irregular verb and it becomes so in past simple.
Right again. What is wrong with went talk?
Go is followed by to, but here it is missing.
And him?
Sarah is a girl, so it should be her.
Why do you think we've underlined lovely person?
I think because we need a in the beginning.
She do?
We shouldn't write do, we should write does because it's third person in present simple.
Exactly. And that is the case with like too, right?
Yes.
Thing?
We need think with K, the verb, not think, the object.
And what is the mistake in would to make?
We must delete to because would is a modal verb and we can only use infinitive.
What do you think is the problem with will introducing?
We do not need ing. We must use only introduce because we have future simple.
And what about the last mistake?
Here we must write I'm looking forward to telling you.
Well done, all of you. Here are all the mistakes corrected. In part 3 of this presentation, we'll talk about the listening and writing section 1, task 1. In the beginning of our presentation, we said that there is also another task you will need to do, and that is a combination of listening and writing. Let's take this part in steps. Since this writing task is linked with the listening task in section 3, we will need to talk a bit about it too. In listening section 3, you will hear the recording twice and then answer 5 questions. Before listening to the recording, you will be given 1 minute to read the instructions and the questions you need to focus on. Underline the keywords in each question. In this way, you will be ready to find the right answers. After you have heard this recording twice and you have answered the 5 questions, the listening section 3 ends. Now, you are going to turn to writing section 1. You will be given little time to read the instructions and the bullet points below. It's a good idea, again, to underline the keywords in each bullet point. This will help you focus. Then you will listen to the same recording for a 3rd time, and this time you will write notes. Don't worry about what your handwriting is like, since you are not going to be marked on your notes and they are for your use only. Step 3. While listening, ignore any names of people that might be mentioned because you will use the names of your friends or relatives. Ignore any dates or times because you can change them. Ignore also places because these can also be changed. Instead, concentrate on information, ideas, facts, grammar, especially tenses, prepositions. Step 4. After the listening has finished, you can go on writing notes on what you remember from the listening. You can add anything else you want and prepare for your writing by brainstorming ideas, vocabulary or grammar you may use, linking words, fillers and mistakes to avoid. You can also use vocabulary, grammar and ideas from the 5 questions of the listening section 3. Step 5. Once you have all the information you need, move on to the writing section 1, task 1, and read the instructions carefully. Use your notes. Also, pay attention to the number of words you need to write. As an example, have a look at the instructions from the LRN B2 sample test. Listen to Pete's message to his friend Jim again. You can use the information from the recording and the notes you have taken to write an email to a friend of yours who is moving to your town and wants information about what kind of sports facilities your town offers. Take notes for the following information or for anything else you wish. When your friend is moving, what sports facilities there are, what they offer, when they are open, the cost, which sports you do, ideas for your friend to meet people. Write your email in the space provided in the writing booklet. You can use the notes you have taken from the message. You may add any relevant information you wish. Write your email in 100 to 120 words. Write an email to a friend of yours who is moving to your town and give him or her some information about what kind of sports facilities your town offers. And step 6, open your writing paper and write your email. From this stage onwards, follow all the points that we mentioned in part 1 and part 2. And you are done. So passing the LRN writing exam is not hard as long as you include all the above we mentioned and as long as you avoid making the mistakes we spoke about. Of course, what will really help as well is if you practice a lot before your exam. You know what they say, practice makes perfect.